Hey, what's happening, y'all? What's happening? What's happening? It's me coming at you again. I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys some quick updates. I'm not gonna be here long. I guarantee you that. I just want to go ahead and recap some of the events that's gone on over the weekend in the world of sports. I didn't get a chance to recap the NBA's off-season transition. First things first, I'm sure everybody's aware of now that Dwayne Wade has got a his contract bought out by the Chicago Bulls. Therefore, that frees him up to go sign whatever he wants, sign whatever team that he desired. And it was recently it came out that he's signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers now. So it's kind of frees things, kind of makes things interesting now with that Cavaliers squad. First, the surprising move where they sent Kyrie Irving, their All-Star point guard, in a blockbuster trade deal, as I would call it, or many would call it, for All-Star guy Isaiah Thomas from the Boston Celtics, which is a very surprising move. And I think the Boston Celtics fans didn't weren't very weren't very receptive to that. So obviously, there's some controversy surrounding that move because Kyrie Irving had came out publicly against the Cavs organization, in particular LeBron James, about how he's unhappy with the offensive scheme and their the organization on how they're and how he I think he's just unhappy how they built their offense and their whole organization around LeBron James while he was guaranteed to be the guy regardless of LeBron James coming back to the organization. I think that's what I've heard. Of course, that's come on. I mean, if anybody's oblivious to believe that's crazy because LeBron James is still in his prime. So why would the Cavs organization guarantee Kyrie Irving guarantee him that? But other than I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. I believe that's why Kyrie left. I mean, he's with a good team, so he's got what he wanted. He can lead a team as he always wanted, as he was promised with Cleveland. But obviously, he's not going to get a chance to do that with LeBron while LeBron's playing. So Cleveland in return not only got Isaiah Thomas, they got Derrick Rose, who is obviously going to be the backup point guard, and you have Dwayne Wade coming in. So Dwayne Wade definitely might be the two guard, within the starting lineup rotation, along with James, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson. So definitely interesting to see what's going to happen in the next season coming up. In fact, the season starts this month. Be interesting. Hey, what's going on, NBT? What's going on, man? What's going on? Yeah, what's going on in Bishop D, man? What's going on? Let me see. NBT says they don't care for Kyrie. He has an Australian passport and decided to play for the USA, so whatsoever. Hey, hey, I look, man. I like Kyrie, man. I got no problem with him. Other than the fact that he does believe the Earth is flat rather than it's round, but that's his belief. But other than that, look, I'm trying to look at this from both sides of the issue here, right? Look, he was promised that he was going to be the franchise leader of that team when he first got drafted, despite the fact that LeBron James had ever came back to the organization, which we all know that's not the case now. So he really wants to go somewhere where he wants to be the franchise player, where he could get credit for saying, you know what, I'm the guy who built this franchise. I took this franchise from the ground up to becoming a playoff contender now to a title contender. I mean, obviously you could do that with Cleveland, Boston right now. You could say they're somewhat of a title contender, but given the fact that the Eastern Conference is a very, very stale division, I mean, conference compared to the Western Conference, which there's a lot of rumors circulating that the NBA may start restructuring its playoff format like the WNBA, regardless of conferences, whoever the top 8 or the top 16 teams with the best records, regardless of conference, will qualify for the playoffs. And people have asked for that for a long while now because you got the Western Conference, you got you got very dominant teams like the San Antonio Spurs, the Golden State Warriors, or at one time the Oklahoma City Thunder. At one point, they were all those teams played in the conference finals as if that was the actual NBA finals. And people get upset the fact that these guys can't even compete for the championship. They have to compete for who advances to the championship or even the semifinals by that matter. So, uh, just like what the NBA was able to do, they were able to draft this format where regardless of conference, the top two teams, whoever prevail would meet in the NBA, will meet in the finals, and that's what we got for the Lynx and the Sparks for the last 2 consecutive years now. So yeah, there's rumors about that, so we'll see. NBT Eastern Conference has been weak. At least now we know the Warriors will make the finals, and Boston has a chance against the Cavs. Yeah, that may be true. That may be true. And Kyrie Irving does has a size matchup against Isaiah Thomas. He may not be as quick and versatile as Isaiah, but Kyrie is just equally as quick and athletic. He definitely has a size advantage, but he's not as quick. Well, I say equally quick. He's not as quick as Isaiah. So, but he definitely has a post up game against him. So, yeah, that's a good that's yeah I yeah that's a good point that you made there, MBT. Ambitious D, Kyrie is going to have to learn his subpar teammate is not going to be enough to win a chip. I think he's looking for that $200 million contract. You know what? That could be a point too. It could be the money factor too. He's probably looking to make more money elsewhere and then also at the same time be the franchise player. I think that's his whole goal. So, but you bring up an interesting point, Ambitious D. Maybe he was trying to negotiate his contract. I haven't really followed the story that much. Maybe he was trying. Was Kyrie actually a free agent this year? Was he on the free agent market, or he was opting out of his contract? Was it one of the two? As you know, I take that back. I think he was he trying to opt out of his contract, and the team ownership wouldn't let him, so that's why he asked for it to be traded instead. Well, it's interesting, but yeah. I mean, anyways, that's okay. 1 year left. Okay, so I think he had an option to opt out and start the renegotiation process, and he didn't like what was going on, so that's why he asked to be traded. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is on the NBA side of things. So definitely see what the season's going to turn about, man. You know me, I ain't going to lie to you guys. The regular season seems very flat to me because there's just no passion these guys playing ball unless the playoffs start to come around. When the playoff season comes around, that's when things get a little interesting. That's where you see guys start to be a little more ambitious and care about winning. And the reason why the NBA, these players they have these personas and the attitudes the way they do right now because they're getting paid ridiculous amount of dollars. Ridiculous. I think the minimum salary was like $4.5 million a year per player. That's the average salary. I mean, Jesus Christ. You got guys who are not even that great players, like just minimal role players getting paid $2 million a year, averaging only 10 points a game or under that. That's crazy. 10 points a game or less than 10 points a game. They get 5 rebounds a game or 2 assists, 3 assists. And they give you about 20 minutes a game, maybe 25. I mean, that's ridiculous. But hey, can't knock on them. They're getting paid. The NBA's been making so much revenue over the last 35 years. They're in the billions now. So these team salary caps are like around $191 million. Yeah, man. Hey, what's going on, Charlie Brown? Hey, man, I appreciate that, dude. I'm gonna have to sub right back to you, brother. I'm gonna have to do it. I know you and I kind of have a disagreement about Adonis Stevenson, which I will get to in a sec. But it's all good, man. It's all about boxing talk. Ambitious D. Average bitch makes about 2.5. Exactly. That's my point, man. It's just these role players that you don't even know about. They're average about 5, 6 points a game. They're getting paid almost $3 million a year. That's crazy, man. Hey, what's up, Truth? Oh man, you still vacationing? Hey man, I know. Look, man, I know you enjoying your time off, man. I know it's well deserved, but until you get back in the States, it'll be all said and done right there, man. Hope you're enjoying your time over there. Yeah, dude, it's just that $3 billion a year for a bench player, that's crazy, man. That is crazy. Like I said, can't knock him for that because the NBA's making what $6 billion a year on revenue. Jesus, and we're talking about the WNBA and their player salaries. How it's not even close to that. These women aren't getting paid by 100. The maximum salaries for veterans is what 110 grand a year plus some bonuses. So roughly, they're adding all the bonuses together. They roughly could get about 200 grand. Let me see, Charlie Brown. I agree with you. Low place got ethered by you and the Boston Library. Consider me being a supporter. You know what, Charlie Brown? Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Low place as a fan, I got no problem with him being a boxing fan. All right, I got no problem with him being that. You can support your fighter, that's cool. But the thing is I'm trying to show him is that if you're gonna apply a certain standard to one fighter, you gotta do the same thing for your other fighter too, for your guy. I mean, that's all I'm asking him to do, but he refuses to do that. But instead of applying that standard to that particular fighter, you know what I'm talking about. He trying to deflect it to another issue that is somebody else's fault why his fighter is not getting respect for the fights that he should be getting. I listened to his last video. He's playing Al Heyman for the reason why Adonis Stevenson's not getting certain fights, and Yvon Michel, which he vehemently supported. So I'm just saying, dude. Yeah, I'm just saying. It's just like, dude, just show some consistency on your criticism. And I'm going to get on the Virgil Hunter and Yvon Michel comments about I know Virgil Hunter had came out and said that about Adonis Stevenson not making enough money. Oh wait, Award fighting Adonis Stevenson when not generating no revenues. That's why they were trying to fight Tony Bellew. But I'll get to that later. But yeah, Duke City specialist, what's going on, man? What's going on? You said, what did Sulaiman just say? Yeah, I'm gonna get into that right now. We're just covering the NBA. But before I get to the NBA, let me just recap the WNBA finals real quickly. My Sparks had lost. Man, they lost by 11 points to the Lynx, so it's going to be definitely a game. It's going to be a game 5 back to Minneapolis. It's got kind of like last year, man. Game 5. Hopefully the Sparks can repeat what they did last year by taking game 5 away from Minnesota. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Think about the Sparks, man. They gave up too many rebounds, offensive rebounds. That's what killed them. I mean, the defense was still there, but the thing is, they just couldn't make their shots. They just gave up too many offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds. So that is what it is on that. So looking forward to game 5 on what day is that? It's on Wednesday. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that on the WNBA side of things, man. But yeah. Anyhow, Mauricio Sulaiman had came out and said that he was addressing a few things. He was addressing about the Canelo and the Golovkin rematch that's tentatively being talked about for May of next year, which is equal to Mile. And asked about the mandatory situation because the WBC middleweight championship has not been defended against a mandatory for so many years now. So, and we know Jamel Charlo is the mandatory challenger, and Sulaiman had something to say about that situation. This is what he had to say. So, when asked about it, he said here, quote, "We are waiting for the mandatory session to take place on Wednesday to see if the positions of see the position of the parties involved, and as always in the open meeting to make the corresponding decision." Golovkin is a boxer who went through a very long process to get to the point of what happened on September 16th. Canelo is an elite fighter, and they gave both each other one of the greatest fights of recent years. Sulaiman told ESPN Deportes. It is clear that the rematch is something that really interests the public, and the boxers are also interested in giving the public the fights they want. We will see Wednesday as they going to present the positions of Charlo and Triple G, and we'll try to bring the best resolution. There has not been a request to get an exemption for the rematch, but surely Tom Loeffler will bring his position on it. So there it is. So basically, there hasn't been a special exemption to get a rematch for Canelo to be made rather than the mandatory. So from the looks of it, the WBC might order the fight between Charlo and Golovkin in the next coming days. But needless to say, though, just because they ordered the fight doesn't mean the fight will be locked and delivered. They can still have time to go ahead and well, Golovkin's team or Loeffler on behalf of Golovkin K2, they can go ahead and try to put in an exemption to where they can go ahead and put the mandatory fight on hold and to go ahead and fight Canelo in the rematch, which they're talking about for next May. So that's an interesting piece there. So based off what that language is, they are going to order the fight. Wait for the announcement in the next coming days. That's just in the coming days. That's just my take on it. And then I think Golovkin, his team, more likely is going to ask for an exemption to not take that fight. But if he does take that fight against Charlo, I'll be very surprised, and I'll commend Golovkin for doing it. Hey, what's going on? 120, 122-4529. I'm doing good, doing good, doing good. Just to let you guys know, 122-4929 is a 4529. I'm sorry, is a female boxing fan, so it's interesting. Charlie Brown, September or December for Charlo would be good. Yeah, you know what? I think that'd be a good suitable date. You know, given that Golovkin has taken a beating in his last two fights. I mean, he's getting hit a lot, or actually last three fights, I should say. He he's taken the last he's been taking some a lot of shots and hits in the last three fights. So definitely he's gonna need a lot of rest to heal that body, man, and especially against a guy like Charlo. So definitely if they're gonna make that fight, if they're gonna have to make it at a later date. But I don't think Charlo's gonna want to wait that long because he's been waiting to get a title shot. So well, actually, he hasn't been waiting that long, but I'm not sure if he's gonna wait to September to to get his title shot. I'm not, well, we'll see though. We'll see. NBT, yes, I made that mistake for Calder, bro, too. Yeah, I know, man. You and I in the same boat, brother. Mr. Doc, what's going on, Mr. Doc? I'd rather see Golovkin fight Charlo than a year later to fight Canelo. Yeah. You know, I was responding to that. I misread what you just said there, man. That's a good point. Yeah, definitely, yeah, because Canelo's going to try to drag this out for a whole year with Golovkin, more than likely. I know they're talking about Cinco de Mayo, but I doubt that they're going to take that fight at that time. Uh, Charlo, I'd rather, yeah, Golovkin, if he's going to take the Charlo fight, if he's going to go through it, I got to give him credit for that, man, because that's a dangerous fight right there. And I think Charlo punches much harder than than Canelo, and he's much more athletic. And his jabs is stinging as hell. He put guys down with his jabs. And you talk about the Kovalev hurt guys with jabs. Charlo be hurt guys with his jabs. And we'll see how Golovkin can react to that if that fight gets made. So let's see here. Truth and facts. Let's go. Welcome 1224529. Ross Clock. What's going on, Ross Clock? Canelo chicken ass better not wait a year for Triple G. Well, we'll see, man. I mean, he is using the Floyd Mayweather tactic. He is. He's gonna wait, guys, until they slow down as time progresses, and then he's gonna take them on. Hey, that's what Floyd used to do, man. I know some guys get mad at me for saying that, but that's the truth. It's a strategic move, but that's what he did. And Canelo's pretty much doing the same thing. Let's see. NBT. Aging him 2 years wasn't quite enough. Hey, it is what it is. The NBT, huge fight for good Fuji if he took that. That's against Charles. Yeah, that'd be a damn good fight, man. Truth and facts. Let's keep the box aside involved here, fellas. I mean, because the rematch is still a lot of money, so they may want to wait until May. I mean, yeah, I mean that's a possibility. It's definitely a lot of money to be made here for this rematch. Because if you look at the latest figures that came out, 1.3 million pay-per-view buys, definitely well short of their goal of 3 million, but it's still damn good considering the current climate with the boxing climate that we see today. Because 1.3 is that's a very challenging task these days, given the era of live streaming and stuff like that, and the fact that the casual boxing when it comes to the casual fan landscape hasn't been very well receptive over the last 3 years, or 2 years, I should say, or maybe 3 years with that. But yeah, we'll see, man. And plus, they made what 25, 28, close to $28 million at the gate. So that's definitely a lot of money to be made right there for the rematch. So definitely there's demand for it. Yeah, and I have to say something too though about that because I was wrong to say that because when the fight first got announced, I thought this fight would at least do between 500,000 to 800,000 buys, and it way exceeded my expectations. So I mean, I was definitely wrong in that area. So hey, definitely there's a lot of money in demand for the rematch. Can't wait for it. Let me see. Rossclaw says Charlo will fight anybody. Yeah, it seems like he will, man. Yeah, he definitely got a stronger chin than Quillen. Definitely does, man. Definitely does, and he's much more accurate than Quillen. So yeah, definitely want to see that Charlo fight Golovkin, man. Definitely want to see that fight. I know some others are going to chastise it and say there's no money in that fight. I mean, first of all, Charlo's the mandatory. He's fought to get that position, so the mandatory is due, and Golovkin is going to have to he's going to have to be obligated to that. If he doesn't want to be obligated to that, then they'll vacate the title. Vacate the title. If he doesn't, definitely going to be a duck. So it is what it is. All right, Mr. Doc. Let's see. He says here, okay, let's cut the car crashes while the fight diabetes patient, diabetic patient, as you mentioned. Well, he did put in a written request to let let the Ortiz fight go ahead. So we'll find out what the WBC decides on that in the coming days. Hey, got to give Wilder props for that, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Uh, 1222452 says that Andrade went to HBO and has a fight coming up. Yeah, Andrade actually moved up to 160. So that's interesting too. So we'll see what he does at 160. So the 160 division's got a little interesting now. Is he trying to chase Charlo, or is he trying to chase Golovkin? It seems like he wants that Golovkin fight in Canelo. That's what he's trying to go after. But Andrade kind of shot himself in the foot the way he's handled his career. I think it kind of got really stale after he backed out of the Charlo fight, just like that, because he couldn't get things his way. Okay, he asked for an increase in his purse. He got an increase. I think he got an extra $200,000, and he still wasn't satisfied because he wasn't the headliner of that main event. I think it was that Showtime card between Khan and Alexander, and he needs to get over. He should have got over himself in that situation because Khan and Alexander were bigger names than him. So after he backed out of the Charlo fight and got stripped of his WBO title, his career kind of went downhill ever since. He got himself to blame. So making poor business decisions. So yeah, what else we got here? Ross Clot, Wilder will fight Ortiz when Ortiz is on dialysis. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that, but Wilder is he is asking for that fight, and I believe the WBC is going to go ahead and let the fight go ahead. But they are going to put some certain conditions involved in that situation, so we'll see. If they're not going to sanction for the title, I mean, I know I know Luis Ortiz is going to be disappointed, but hey, he fucked up in that situation. He should have known better. Look, if you are on certain medications, according to the CPP procedures, you have to inform the involved parties about that. You have to inform the WBC that you're on certain medications, so that way, if you do come up testing negative, they know if it's based off that medication that you got a prescription for from your doctor. He known better. He known that, and that's why I don't know why he waited till he got popped now to disclose this information. So that's kind of strange. It is what it is. Let's see. Uh, Ross Clot. Well, hold up. Let's see here. Let's see. Canelo won't even go near Charlo. Hey, he doesn't seem keen on fighting him, man. But you may be right. But we'll see. We'll see. Ross Clot says Andrade's wasted some good prime years. Exactly, he's there, man. He's made very, very poor business decisions. After it all started from that Charlo fight when he backed out of it. I think he would have beaten Charlo at that time, but now he's lost all his prime years. He's only had two fights within 3 years, so definitely not enough activity for him. He's got to start doing something instead of showing up at events and trying to, crash people's press conference or post-fight press conferences and whatnot. So it is what it is. WT says that Canelo, he made a 155 weight class to stay away from Charlo at 154 and Triple G and Jacobs at 160. I mean, he did because obviously he wanted to drain those guys. He felt that now he's the cash cow. He can make such demands. Now he realized that the fact that he was killing himself to make that weight as long as he did, he's not going to take that chance anymore. So he's going to fight the full 160. He's not going to damage himself, but but it is what it is in that situation. Yeah, ambitious D. Boo Boo has wasted his youth. He needs to start fighting 4 times a year. I mean, yeah, that he's going to have to do it if he wants to remain relevant. So yeah, definitely he's gonna have to do it. Ross Clyde asked me, "Hey, Dad, is Parker going to last?" To me, Parker's the weakest title holder, in my opinion. You know what? I was trying to, respond to that in Boxing Beats and Ryan Hangout. I didn't get a chance to because there was a lot of talking going on. But I respect those boys a lot, those guys a lot. But I was gonna say this though. I think people underestimate Joseph Parker, in my opinion, man. He's being underestimated. Okay, let me tell you why. Joseph Parker, at a very young age, was put up against Carlos Takam, a very dangerous fight for him to take. Okay, even though I think he was slightly favored to win that fight, but a lot of people, there was other experts and odd makers saying that they don't know if Parker can react to a guy like Carlos Takam, a relentless pressure fighter who has respectable power. He'll keep coming forward, who has a very good chin, and they didn't think Parker could handle him. And some people thought that he wasn't ready for that fight when when it was when it was ordered by the IBF, and he handled that fight pretty well. Yes, he gassed himself out, but he handled the Talcum pretty well. He took him 12 rounds. He won that fight, and that was a very good win. The reason why I say that is because Talcum was a guy that nobody really wanted to fight. He was he was a guy that nobody wanted to fight. Okay, he got Charles Takum, who was a who was a top 10 heavyweight at the time, a dangerous guy who nobody wanted to fight this pride. Andy Ruiz Jr., very close fight, could have gone either way. Another guy that's who's a very good heavyweight, and he beat him. So you got Andy Ruiz, you got Carlos Takum, you got okay opponents like Andre, Demetrico, even though Demetrico put on an acting job in that fight. So, those are good wins right there. And Huey Fury, and let me get on that fight because I haven't had a chance to go on that one. Huey Fury was moving way too much in that fight, in my opinion. Way, way too much, okay? Huey Fury wasn't even committed on any of his shots whatsoever. To be fair, he was throwing some very good, effective right uppercut counters when Parker was trying to come in and lunge in and try to, trap him in the corners. And the thing about Huey is that he was pretty much literally moving way too much to my liking. And that's probably the reason why the judges scored it the way they did in favor of Parker. Now, to me, I thought Joseph won that fight 8 rounds to 4. Close fight. But Joseph Parker's 10 rounds to 2, yeah, I think that was way too off. Way too off, in my opinion. Way too off when two judges scored it that way. Uh, Yeah, Huey Fury. Yeah, because here's the thing about this, and it's part of me glad that Parker won. Actually, I'm glad Joseph won that fight. They gave him that decision. Let me tell you why. Because the way the Furies had behaved in that situation of that negotiation process is really beyond me. At first, they were so adamant not getting that fight in New Zealand. When the Ducal events at that time, when they were all in one cohesive unit, when they won the purse bid to have the fight hosted in New Zealand, the Furies were doing all they can the last minute to get that fight pulled out of New Zealand. You have it hosted over there in Manchester in the UK. And then a week later, when their request was denied by the WBO, whoever the parties involved in that, when their request was denied to have that fight moved over to the UK, Fury pulls out of the fight the last minute. The last minute, a week before the fight supposed to go up, he pulls out. And then next thing you know, after Parker got through his replacement, which is Kajani, right? The purse bid was called by the WBO, and that's probably why the unification bout between Parker and Wilder couldn't go through. So they had the fight. They won the purse bid, and they had the fight hosted over the UK. And this is what they got. And now they're screaming robbery, blah blah blah. And then you got McKinsey coming out and saying that, well, Fury got robbed, and he put on a masterclass like Muhammad Ali. I don't know what fight that McKinsey was watching, but here's my take on it. I think they thought that Laws Fury to get knocked down. Once he did, once he made Joseph Parker look kind of bad, he was going to persuade the judges to give him the decision because it was in his hometown, and it backfired on him. Rightfully so, backfired on him, and they got what they deserved. And I like Tyson Fury. Don't get me wrong, I respect the Furies, but the way they handled that situation, that negotiation process with Joseph Parker, I thought they got what they deserved. I thought Parker really won the fight. He was a rightful winner, close fight, but no robbery. I didn't see no robbery right there. Okay, so let me go down to the comments. Ross Clark, Parker low key has a better resume than Wilder on paper. I picked Taco to beat him. You know what though? Parker does have a slightly better resume than Deontay Wilder. Slightly better. I give Parker the edge on that one. The edge. The reason why I say that is because Parker was able to do things at a quicker rate than Deontay. And I like Deontay. I like Deontay. Deontay's got good wins himself as well. But what I'm looking at is that who was able to get a title win at world? Who was able to win a title at? Who's able to win a fight at title level at a quicker pace is the one I'm looking at. That's the X factor here. And it took Deontay 35 fights to do it. And it took Joseph Parker about 18 or 19 or maybe 20 pro fights to do it. So that's what I'm looking at right there. Let me see. Charlie Brown says, "Hey, NBT said Dan is spitting. Hey man, hey man, I'm just telling my piece on it, man. Ambitious D, Parker's a city duck. I mean, that's yet to be seen, man. Like I said, that's yet to be seen. Uh, Charlie Brown says NBT Parker is good, but didn't look good in his last 2 fights. He will have to improve. He's a good individual. I admire him. But you know what though, Charlie Brown, it's styles that make fights, and you look at Andy Ruiz, very good fighter on elite level, man. That's not going to be an easy fight. All right, Carlos Takam, not an easy fight, very elite fighter, heavyweight. Okay, then you have I'm not sure elite, but very good heavyweight on world level. Then you have Huey Fury, war level fighter at this point. Those are not. It's Huey Fury's style is so awkward and so very difficult at times, kind of like his cousin Tyson. That type of style you're not going to look good against. Look at ask Vladimir Klitschko when he fought Tyson Fury, or ask the other opponent like Derek Chisora when he fought Tyson Fury. So it is what it is. Roberto, what's going on, Dan? Peace, my brother. Hey, what's going on, man? I'm doing good. Man. Having this hang out here. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of comments coming in. Anyway, let me get into the. Let me go back over here and bring up some more news here, because I know what to talk about. Let me see. Actually, that's another situation here. We'll bring up another story here. We'll just go through these articles. All right. Oh yeah, Mauricio Sulaiman also commented on the Deontay Wilder and the Luis Ortiz situation. This is what we have to say here. This is quite interesting. So, addressing the issue of Luis Ortiz testing positive for chlorothiazide and hydrochlorothiazide, which is a substance that's contained in this high blood pressure medication. Uh, Again, it goes back to my point. The problem is that he never told Vada about his prescribed medication, which is why it's kind of bizarre why would he wait till he got busted to disclose this information. So this is what Mauricio Sulaiman had to say about this. He said here, quote, "So regarding the fight, we have not ruled it any way. So basically, the fight's not canceled yet." All right. So Sulaiman went further to say that the issue is being under review, including the fact that there is a positive result that Ortiz had in 2014 for Nandrolone. The fact that there is a process in which you must declare absolute everything that you are taking at the moment of registering for the clean boxing program, and at the moment people are right to draw blood or urine. There you have an obligation to put in writing what you're taking. Sulaiman had responded to ESPN Deportes. We're in process mentioned. We are in process, as we mentioned, and we are waiting for Ortiz to answer to the questionnaire that was sent to him, and we will make a determination in a rapid manner because there is a fight scheduled in a few weeks. In this case, the Ortiz process has to be much faster because there is a scheduled fight for November 4th, and we have the responsibility to the fighters and the public. Sulaiman further accepts the organization's clean boxing program's findings, and he also accepts the fact that it has caused many headaches to the world of pugilism, but also says there is no going back in this fight to be. It is no going back in this fight to make boxing a cleaner sport. I understand it has been a very complicated process, but every time the phone rings, I see that it's a doctor. That is Dr. Margaret Goodman. Excuse me, Dr. Margaret Goodman from VADA. I start to tremble. Because last year we closed the convention with the announcement of doping by Alexander Povetkin, and now we begin this convention with Ortiz. Wilder has been the most harmed. Three opponents for him has been found positive in the drug testing process. So as you guys can see, Mauricio Sulaiman is very stressful about the situation. However, he did say the fight has not been canceled. They have not made a ruling, even though there hadn't been initial reports saying that the WBC have called off a fight. So the fight is still scheduled. So now we're waiting for a response. He said this is going to be a faster process, so we should know something within the next couple of days of what they're going to do. Now, as again, I have mentioned that Wilder has put in a written request to let the fight go ahead. He still wants to fight Ortiz, so looks like to me that they are going to go ahead and let this fight happen based off this language. So they're more likely going to let the fight happen. But the question is whether they're going to sanction for the WBC title to be up for grabs. So that will be the question that remains. So yeah, let me see here. Yeah, let me get into the World Boxing Series with the cruiserweight fight between Marius Briedis and Mike Perez. All I gotta say is I'm very disappointed by Briedis' performance. Okay, and the first round, very good action, went back and forth. I think I edged that round to Perez. But the second round, oh, it was just downhill from there. I mean, Breedis was headlocking the guy every time he came in, holding him excessively. And then it was one moment, I think it was round three, when when Perez was ducking underneath Breedis' hook, he ducked, and when Breedis grabbed him, he grabbed him with his left arm, grabbed him with his head with his left arm. It brought Perez to him, and it caused a clash of heads. And then Breedis suffered a cut. And then when the referee stopped the action, he deducts a point for Perez. And I thought that was outright disgraceful because first of all, Perez is not the one who initiated that headbutt. It was Breedis who did it because he brought his head over. He headlocked Perez, and then next the clash of heads had occurred. Okay, and then it got so frustrating to the point to watch that to the point that Mike Perez got so mad that he was getting held excessively. He was getting headlocked, and then he pushed Breedis at the end of the round because he didn't like the way he was fighting. All right. Okay. So I think it was like round 10 or something, round 11 or round 9 that the referee decided finally to deduct a point away from Breedis for what he was doing. And then in that particular round, Breedis continued to headlock him to hold him excessively. And the referee was like, look, if you keep doing this, I'm going to take another point. And he still would take another point. So I'm like, okay, you took the point away from rightfully so from Breedis. And then when he proceeded to headlocking, you warned him again, and you still didn't take a point. So I'm trying to figure out how does this work, So definitely the fight was a letdown. It was, obviously Breedis kind of found his way into victory. I mean, Mike Perez, in my opinion, I know he did the best he could. But the one thing I have to say about Perez is that, dude, you shouldn't be turning to the referee for help, man. You got to just take matters to your own hands. If you feel the guy's headlocking you the way you do, then you need to punch him low to get him to stop doing it, in my opinion. That's what Mike Perez should have done. But I guess the fact that the referee already took a point away from him, I think that's kind of it made him tempted to take matters to his own hands. So, yeah, that's the situation there. Let's see what we got to the comment section. Truth of Box, the Truth of Facts says here, look, if he's taking high pressure pills, now you bring the question to health. Because I remember INSAC just paid out $22 million a lawsuit for that Perez fight. Yeah, I remember that fight. And I think it was kids. I can't pronounce the guy's name. It was the Russian. He's from from the Eastern Bloc. Eastern Europe bloc, I should say. But the thing is that Perez has been psychologically affected for that. Been affected from that fight, and Perez hasn't been the same fighter ever since that whole incident had broke down. But yeah, he should have disclosed the info. Period. Which is true. He should have. Luis Ortiz. He should have. Ross Clark, true, me either. But Stevenson's pissing me off about babysitting that Wbss belt. You know what? I am going to get on Stevenson, dude, because here's the thing. A lot of people get, some people, less than a handful of people, get mad at me for, criticizing Adonis Stevenson. But look, here's the thing. I like Adonis Stevenson. I support the guy. But we got to call out for what it is. Was it some of the situations that certain fights can get made his fault? No. But there were some cases that it was his fault why certain fights didn't get made, okay? So all I said is that you gotta move on. Take on the next high level opponents that are available to you, okay? Do what Mike McCall did. Okay, well Mike McCall could get certain fights in his career at 154, 160, or at 160. What did he do? He took on the next dangerous opponents that were available to him. And he was able to succeed in most of those fights. So when I say that Stevenson needs to fight challenges elsewhere, even go up to cruiserweight, some people get mad at me for saying that, and he knows who I'm talking about. So what do you want? So I asked this guy, what do you want Stevenson to do? What do you want him to do? To sit around and wait for things to happen? Because the division's not going to wait on Stevenson. He's going to have to do something. If he's not going to do anything, then he's going to be subject to criticism, just like you criticize other fighters for sitting around not doing anything. Okay? So, yeah. I mean, he's got to do something. And there's another thing, too. It's like, you pressure a unified champion like Andre Ward to fight a certain guy like Adonis Stevenson, then why won't you pressure Adonis Stevenson to take certain fights when he was during his run? So that's just all I'm asking for is consistency in your criticism. And so, yeah, and the thing about Alvarez is that he put that mandatory match off for 2 years now. Now we know that not only that Stevenson paid Alvarez step aside money once, but he paid him a second time. So why did he put this fight off with Alvarez for 2 years now? That's just disgusting to me. And now I'm hearing that Yvon Michel can't even get the video book for that fight to be made. So I don't know what's going on with the Adonis Stevenson, okay? Which also leads me to the Virgil Hunter comments and Yvon Michel responding to Virgil Hunter, okay? And I'm going to get into that one real quickly. Truth and Fact says, yeah, you're so right. I say that all the time. Now you can't look to the ref. Yeah, especially with the Mike. Yeah, about Mike Perez, absolutely. Charlie Brown, I agree. Yeah, about Stevenson and Mike Perez. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm glad you guys see my point of view on that one. Let me see. There's a lot of comments coming in. Yeah, let me see here. For sure, the MBT. Lotto Jack might fuck around and beat Stevenson. You know what, Ross Clyde, here's the thing. If that fight ever gets made, I would probably favor Bottle Jack to win that fight against Adonis Stevenson. I think I would because yes, Stevenson hasn't really fought the best opposition over the last 4 years. He hasn't really taken any damage, but at the same time, he's getting old. And when you get old, your body starts to change. And what happens when your body starts to change, your skills start to diminish a little bit, and you'll start to slow down. So that's what's happening at this point. And I think that's why Stevenson is like holding out till he could get one big fight because he's trying to cash out from the looks of it. Because according to him, and this is what Alvarez has been saying, is that Stevenson is now trying to avoid that fight with him because he's saying he's going around telling the public that there's no money fight in Elite Alvarez. That's what Stevenson's saying. So he's looking to cash out with Badu Jack. That's what it looks like at this point, and he probably is more likely going to lose. Let me see. What else we got here? Let me see. MBT said, I got Jack in that fight. He's underrated as hell. Yeah, I agree. I got Bottle Jack winning that fight. And Ambitious D said, I got Jack by KO. May not be a KO, but, definitely I got Jack winning that fight. I think he'll win that fight convincingly, in my opinion, once it gets made. Mr. Doc says that Stevenson's going to nuke Jack. Hey, I wouldn't be mad at your assessment on that, Mr. Doc. It could go either way, in my opinion, but I'm going to favor Jack to win it. Rasclot says that to MBT. I'm going to lean towards Stevenson before, but I was leaning to Stevenson before, but after Jack's last fight, he's a legit threat at 175. So fuck him and Ward would be a great fight. I don't know, Rasclot. I don't know about that, man, but we'll see. MBT, Jack's history might be a draw, though. How many draws that Bottle Jack has gotten? He's gotten 2 draws, but one of those draws actually got changed into a victory because Lucien Boutte had failed the drug test for that fight. So he has a win on his record against Lucien Boutte. Let's see here. Let's go down to the comment section. Let me see. Bottle Jack may be the number 2 light heavyweight. Are you referring to Bottle Jack now that Ward's retired, that he's number 2? Maybe. We'll see. Or, Kovalev might be number 3 more than likely. We'll see. Let me see what we got here. Mike McCallum was a very skilled. Let me see. Ross Clot says that Mike McCallum was a beast and was so technically skilled. Man, absolutely, man. McCallum was the truth. He could box you at long range. He could fight you in inside range. The dude had an iron chin. I know he got knocked down in one of his fights, in one fight of his career. I think it was against who he get knocked down against? Harold the Bomber Graham. And it was a very tough fight, and he beat Harold Graham for the WBA title. Well, at 154 pounds. Harold Graham was giving McCallum giving hell in that fight, but McCallum was able to kind of smother him a little bit to keep him away from long distance and fight him in the inside. Yeah, McCallum was a truth, man. I'll pick McCallum to beat all the middleweights of today. I think he would have steamrolled Golovkin, in my opinion. He would have went through Golovkin, ran through him. Okay, so in my opinion, in today's age, and I agree with Ross Clot on this one. Truth and facts, the body stature dropped his belt to move up and travel to fight Kalambe. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Kalambe kind of make Mike McCallum look bad in that fight. And McCallum was complaining about Kalambe running in that fight. I remember that post-fight interview. But look, man, it's just that what happens, styles make fights, and Kalambe was a very awkward and tricky fighter. Okay? And he had a tough chin, too. And Michael Dunn was the only guy to knock him out. Credit to Michael Dunn. So yeah, McCallum was a very doable fighter, man. Very durable, technically sound fighter. MBT said I saw Don Stevenson slow down in Thomas Wilson fight. Yeah, he was slowing down in that fight. He did slow down that fight, and I saw that too. 68 triumphant. What's going on? I have to call you triumphant. You're Dark Rendezvous now. My bad. Let's see. 68. What's up, man? It says Donis will beat Jack. Jack just big KO by a bum. And Steve says is a very hard puncher. Well, yeah. I mean, Derek Edwards did knock out Badu Jack. But let's be fair though. Derek Edwards is a much better fighter than Darnell Boone. Okay, because Darnell Boone knocked out Adonis Stevenson. He had 20 losses going into that fight. Let's be fair here. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you think Adonis Stevenson beat Badu Jack, I won't be mad at that prediction either. Because Stevenson definitely has the capability of winning that fight. Ambitious D, Stevenson's looking for that bread. Yeah, he's definitely looking for that dollars. Dude is 40 years old, so yeah, he's definitely 40 years old, and he's looking to cash out at this point. Yeah, truth and facts. He was KO also. Yeah, I just mentioned that. Harold Graham was such a good fighter in the wrong era. You know what? Yeah, I mean, when I look at the Harold Graham, the Bomber Graham's career, dude, when I look at it, he was such an underachiever, man. He had unbelievable skills, man. And it was so sad that he couldn't really get through. He couldn't get over Julian Jackson. Obviously, I think that was a fight that really kind of took a toll on his career if he got knocked out the way he did. And he was beating Julian Jackson that fight while it lasted. And Mike McCallum, it's just that he couldn't get though. He just couldn't do well against those big guys, those big, those elite guys. And he had unbelievable skills. Very good fighter, but he was just an underachiever. I mean, that is what it is. So I mean, yeah, nothing respect for Harold Graham, but he was just an underachiever. Mr. Doc said that Stevenson got KO'd by Boone. I mean, yeah, he did. And Jack got KO'd by Midget. Hey man, it is what it is. 68, true, but not via reassuring attrition. In attrition, I'm sorry. True, but not via reassuring attrition, which is what Jackie uses number one KO power. I mean, hey, you got a little point there. Truth and facts, Mr. Doc, you're right. Can't argue with facts. Ross Cloud, Boone is a hard puncher with 100% flaws, which is true. Boone is a very hard puncher. He has a lot of flaws, but he's a very awkward fighter himself. He doesn't have no technique. He's not very good. He's not sound technically, but he's very awkward. 68. Graham did inspire Nassim Hamed. Yeah, he did. He inspired a lot of fighters to fight the style way he did. He was a very tricky and very awkward fighter. He used to fight you at different angles, and he was a guy who had very unbelievable hand speed, and he will blind you with combinations. You look at Fasala Macheco today. That reminds me of Harold Graham. To be honest with you, he reminds me of of Harold Graham the way he boxes. You know. Um, Yeah, Harold Graham was beating the crap out of Hatcher Brewer before he got clipped in that fight too. Yeah, that's the thing about Harold Graham. Some people question his chin, and because when I see that Mike McCallum fight, he was getting rocked in that fight, and I was wondering was McCallum ever going to take him out. But lucky enough for Harold Graham, he was able to go 12 rounds with him, but he was really getting rocked in that fight. So, but to be fair though, Julian Jackson put down a lot of guys. He's known to be the best pound for pound punchers in history. So, let me see what we got here. Truth to facts, I said this is why Dan's the man. Only Dan can give you a live 1 a.m. 1 a.m. on a work day, but he can get a live, get an active audience. Respect hashtag. Hey man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys coming on and having this chat with me. I really do, really do. Harold Graham reminds me of Howard Davis. Yeah, man. Howard Davis is another underachiever as well, too, man. Very good technical fighter, had unbelievable skills, but just couldn't get to that time. He just couldn't do well on world title level. He just couldn't do it. Uh, yeah. Now, I don't know about that, Ross Clyde. I mean, the way he got rocked against Mike McCallum, yeah, you probably are right about that because he was looking rocked against McCallum in that fight, and he took McCallum's best shots, and I'm surprised he was able to withstand that because McCallum himself is a very hard puncher. So, yeah, you might have a point there. You might have a point. Uh, but anyways, let me get over to the Virgil Hunter comments because I know he recently came out and said that Adonis, the reason why they Andre Ward, his fighter, didn't want to take the Adonis Stevenson fight because there was no money involved. Okay, and Tony Bellew also revealed that Andre Ward's demands were far too much for his liking, so that's why they didn't. That fight didn't get made. But let me look at Virgil Hunter. His comments here. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Let me see. Virgil Hunter and Adonis Stevenson. I'm going to bring these comments up for you guys so I'll give you my take on it. Okay, it says here there was really no money in the Adonis Stevenson fight. It was on on the reports boxing radio interview. So Virgil Hunter said here there was really no money fighting Adonis Stevenson, so it was a good time to consider retirement. Okay, let's see. So Jenna J had interviewed him, asked him, well, okay, there were options for Andre for Andre. Now there was Adonis Stevenson. There was another move that could be risky to move up to cruiserweight or either heavyweight. So how realistic were any of those fights? So Virgil Hunter commented by saying, well, Stevenson can only fight in Canada, so there's really no money in that. Number one, nobody really put up nobody put up the money for that fight anyway. So once you make a certain amount of money, it's only right for you to continue to stay on the pay scale. Now Stevenson was not going to bring in the kind of money on the table because he only fights in Canada. Now, as far as moving up the cruiserweight things, that was a negotiation situation that takes time, and you don't even know, what's going to be materialized. That's what was open to us: either the move it up in weight, or fight someone that could bring money on the table, or fight for less money. It was a good time to consider retirement since it was since it was on the books anyway. So that's what we did. Okay. So basically, here's the thing I got to say about that. Okay. Now, and I told low place on this many times. Adonis Stevenson is not he's only a hot shot inside of Montreal, okay, in Quebec, Canada, which has over 2 million people. Even that situation, Adonis Stevenson can't even sell out at the gate of any of his fights as the as the Lady Wbss champion in Quebec, okay. So he does have he is kind of known there, but outside of Quebec, nobody knows who he is. I talk to guys in Toronto, they don't even know who Adonis Stevenson is. Okay, so that tells you something. Okay, and maybe once this Virgil Hunter makes has a point there. Fair though. Andre Ward, his fighter, is not a money making fighter himself. Okay, Andre Ward is a hot shot in Oakland, but outside of that, nobody knows who Andre Ward is. Okay, and for me, to be honest with you, when they announced that Ward and Kovalev would be pay per view fights, I was surprised about that because first of all, neither Ward or Kovalev are crossover stars to even be put on a pay-per-view platform. But the fights were made. I didn't care. I was like, okay, fine. The fights are made. That's all that matters. Okay. So Steve said, yeah. Steve said not, a fight with Stevenson bringing on money. Okay, yeah. Like I said, that is true to some degree. But if you look at the light heavyweight landscape, if they were going to stay in that division and take fights, then there's nobody else that can make that type of money they're looking for. It's Adonis Stevenson. All right. So, which is true, BT. Yeah, Stevenson and Dawson only drew 6,000 people in the audience. So that is true. At a 15,000 seat arena. But other than that, again, based off this language, they were not keen on becoming undisputed. They were looking for one big fight and they were going to call it a career. So that was their focus, okay? And obviously, Tony Bellew draws more money than Adonis Stevenson going to the UK. That's a fact. All right. Now, Wnba Michel. But this is one thing I got to criticize Andre Ward because that's a kind of a letdown for me. Because I rather want Andre Ward to chase legacy rather than money because he already got paid for his two Kovalev fights. All right, what more do you need, man? I mean, seriously. But it is disappointing that this is the route they were going and they weren't thinking about undisputed championship. So this is disappointing on their part. Okay, now Wnba Michel actually responded to Virgil Hunter's comments, and I'm going to read that right here. Okay. And this is what Wnba Michel had to say. All right. So this is what he said. Well, Stevenson can only fight in Canada. Well, actually, no. He's responding to Virgil Hunter's comments. All right. So Michel obviously disagrees with that, and he believes that a fight with Stevenson would have made Ward even more money than either of his fights on pay per view with Kovalev. Which I don't. I have to disagree with Wnba Michel on that one. But anyways, let me say let me read what he had to say here. He said here, look. So he's claiming that there's not enough money for the fight, and War would have been paid less in his fights in this fight than he had fought Kovalev, right? So we all know that Andre Ward was overpaid for his fights with Sergey, okay? In a 50-50 split with in a 50-50, I'm sorry, in a 50-50 split deal with Kovalev and all the revenues produced by the events, Ward would have gotten less than half of the money he was paid. In fact, Ward's purse alone was more than the total revenues generated by the events. Michel told Boxy. The reason why he was paid that much was because the generosity of his promoter Rock Nation, who subsidized him with millions to convince him to take the fights. Ward gains over 50% of all the incomes of the event where his promoter loses. Where his promoter loses is, I'm sorry. Of his promoter's losses is, I'm sorry. Losses. A promoter can't do that kind of business forever if he or she wants to stay in the business. Well, I mean, I have to agree there. Wnba Michel definitely have a point there. I think Ward did get a little bit too much for what they actually generated for the total revenue and profits for his two fights with Kovalev, in my opinion. All right. But hey, he asked for the money. He asked for a good deal to take the risk, and he got it. All right. So it's obvious that a Stevenson Ward event would generate more total revenue than each of the two Kovalev and Ward fights because it would have been about the same in the USA and international sales, but the Canadian market would have contributed several millions in pay-per-view revenue, something that was not there for the two Ward events or Kovalev events. But even the Canadian contribution would not have been enough to satisfy the needs of Ward, who have requested, according to Virgil Hunter, more money to fight Stevenson. We know now that his promoter was no longer interested in subsidizing his purse. Look, Andre was an exceptional fighter, a great personality, and a model for the youth. He brought dignity, respect, and was an asset for the sport of boxing. But he was not a popular fighter in terms of ticket sales and pay-per-view. As the A side in the fight against Stevenson, it would have been his responsibility to generate revenues in the USA at the level of other stars like Mayweather, Pacquiao, Alvarez, and Cotto, and even if he wanted to be paid at their level. So that's not the case. Now, on top of that, Stevenson is a much more complete fighter than Kovalev, much more boxing ring IQ, much more better inside fighter in the southpaw style. Stevenson poses a much greater danger to Blemish's Ward perfect record. The equation made by Ward's team was a greater risk and overall less money, and the decision was made to retire. So it is ridiculous now to try to twist the story and blame the dangerous WBC champion Donna Stevenson. The fact that Stevenson is fighting from Canada would have been a great asset in terms of revenue for the fight, and no matter where it had been held, no other way around it. Yeah, some things I have to disagree with here. First of all, to be fair, Adonis Stevenson does not generate any money in revenue in Canada either. Let's be real, okay? He doesn't. That's a fact. I even pulled up the data that Low Place was unaware of, and he didn't like the fact that I pulled up the data about his fighter. He totally tried to dismiss it, but that fact is that you can't even refute it. Stevenson does not pull any revenue in Canada. In fact, if you look at his viewership, especially in his last fight against Fafar, it was like over 200,000 views. That was it. Okay. Aside from the Sakio Bika fight, he drew over $1 million on CBS. I'll give him props for that here in the United States, but he doesn't even draw that much revenue either. And Wnba Michel kind of recognized, given the fact that Stevenson doesn't even draw that much money, he recognizes that Andre Ward was the A side here. Okay, if they were to negotiate. Now, to be fair to Wnba Michel, if you're saying all this stuff, then why didn't you guys reach out to Ward to try to make a fight at least? Okay. Because Kovalev did that, because Andre Ward was dismissive about Sergey Kovalev. They reached out to Ward. They got the deal made, and that was it. Okay? So if Adonis Stevenson wanted that fight, maybe he should have gave it to some of Ward's demands to make that fight. Yeah, so basically, yeah, like I said, Michelle definitely got some points there. I agree with him, and I definitely disagree with him with some of his points. Okay, so the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. There is no guarantees that the Ward and Stevenson fight in Canada would generate much revenue. Okay, there's no guarantee to that. Would it generate far better revenue than Stevenson's last opponents, and Fafara, Thomas Williams Jr., and Sikotsky and Carpenti? Absolutely, it'll draw more than that, but it won't be no ridiculous amount of revenue. I'll tell you, it wouldn't be that. And to say another thing too, it's funny that Yvon Michel is coming out and saying these things on behalf of Donna Stevenson. Why does he even mention anything about Lydia Alvarez? Because Stevenson's gone out and told the public that Levy Alvarez brings nobody to the table. So how can they sit here and get offended when Ward or how Virgil Hunter said what he said, which is true, and not take exception to what Stevenson said about Alvarez? So kind of a tricky pattern here. So yeah, like I said, it is the truth, man. Truth, both is actually the truth. Stevenson, Ward, Kovalev, all three of those guys are not big draws. They at the time they were when Ward entered that division, they were the top light heavyweights, and neither of those guys were big draws. Neither one of them. So obviously, like I said, Michelle actually recognized that Andre Ward is the A side when it came to the negotiation process. If Stevenson agreed, if they were to enter the negotiation table, okay. So yeah, so yeah, that's the thing. That's my take on that situation. So let me get to the comments here. I might have to wrap this up, y'all. Let me see. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. 1224529. Look, ABT's pulled out the gate revenue figures for Stevenson. Yes, it is bad. It's very bad. In fact, in his last fight, he got booed by his fans. So it is what it is. Okay. And speaking of Stevenson, I mean, I'm wondering why Yvon Michel even announced. I mean, when's he gonna fight Alvarez? I'm trying to figure out when's that fight ever gonna get announced? It's been almost 3 months now since Stevenson fought, and there has been no announcement of his fight with Alvarez is being made. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on there. Well, that's the situation. I mean, Stevenson's got to do something. He's got to do something, okay? But obviously, he's trying to cash out here. But again, he's got to do something. Let's see here. It's unfortunate. 1224529. It's unfortunate that Ward never got respect as one of the best of his era. I don't blame him in calling it quits. I mean, yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm gonna look at this from the other perspective. Andre Ward have one of the best resumes in this era of boxing. He does, no question about it. Could he have done a little more? Maybe, perhaps, but he did so much in a short test in a short amount of fights in his career that most people have done in their later years of their career. He did that in 32 fights, and he went out on top undefeated as the best fighter in the world. He did that. Okay. Were there a couple fights that we wish he could have fought? Absolutely. Adonis Stevenson was one of those guys. But the fact is that we can't. His career won't be defined on that fact that he never fought Adonis Stevenson. Let's be realistic, okay? And again, I have to say it again. Let's be honest here. Adonis Stevenson needed to fight Ward more than Andre Ward needed to fight him. That's honest fact. Okay, so if Adonis Stevenson had to retire today, he won't be regarded as one of the best fighters we ever see in this era. He won't have that recognition as Andre Ward does. So that's the honest truth there. NBT says that Rigo, Cotto, and Ward were all overpaid in their fights. Imagine Adrian Broner taking $25 million that he was offered. Hey, that was true. They were offering Adrian Broner $25 million. I think they were offering Keith Thurman like $18 million to come over, and they both turned it down. So, yeah, Rock Nation was willing to spend a lot of money to get these guys over. But I guess the way they looked at it and said, you know what? We're going to take a short-term loss here by getting these guys over, but we're going to definitely make the money back by the next few years based off their revenue, what they draw at the gate, and TV revenues and whatnot, and advertising revenue once we showcase their fights. So I think that's what they were looking at. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Let's see. Ambitious D says here, Fafar Kovalev both weak in the gut. Well, you know what's funny about that, Ambitious D? Most Eastern European fighters don't like to they can't take body shots very well. So that's always been their Achilles heels. I don't understand why it's always been a pro to the Eastern European fighters. I just don't understand that, but that's been the norm for them. And yeah, I guess it's their training regimen that doesn't help them absorb body shots very well. That's obviously probably the reason why, but it is what it is. Yeah, it is mind-boggling how he wasn't marketable. I mean, he's Olympic gold medalist, Andre Ward. You know, he was a very good fighter, but he just wasn't marketable. I just didn't understand. I guess it all goes back to his then promoter, Dan Goosen, who couldn't market him very well. Of course, you know, he went over to Rock Nation. Rock Nation did the best they could to market the guy. They couldn't do it either. So, other than that, I mean, they did the best they could do, but obviously they couldn't get him over to the crossover platform. So, you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's sad though, but Andre Ward definitely can keep his head up. You know, he had a very good career. You know, definitely going to go down. I mean, is he all time great? Absolutely, but obviously he won't go down as a top 10, top 15, or top 20. No, 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 no. But he definitely is going to go down as an all time great. You know, no question about it. So let me see what we got here. Let's see. Let me see. Yep, the MBT, no more excuses. Badu Jack will go to Montreal, lay his ass out. Hey, we'll see, man. All I gotta say is ambitious D. I'm just hoping. Look, I'm just waiting for Adonis Stevenson to do something, man. He's got to do something. Put out an announcement or something, man. It's been 4 months now. We haven't even heard whether you made the deal with your mandatory or not. It doesn't look like it's going to get done this year. So I mean, this is ridiculous, man. He's got to do something. Either you're going to fight your mandatory, or you're going to fight Badu Jack. If you're going to fight Badu Jack, you're going to vacate your title. You're going to vacate your title, which is more likely could happen. I'm going to call you out on that, Adonis. That's going to be a duck. I'm sorry. I got to do it. All right. 1224529. True Dana man. I would just wish that he was appreciated more. I mean, we wish he would have been appreciated more. And the reason why I've been going at is certain people who's disrespecting him after he called it quits. I think it's not fair that they're disrespecting him because it's like, look, Vladimir Klitschko got all the highest regard, even from his retractors when he announced his retirement. So why can't Ward do the same, get that same level of respect? Okay, he wasn't controversial outside the ring. You know, was his tactics rugged? Absolutely. But, you know, I wouldn't call it dirty. The fact is that Vladimir Klitschko was a dirty fighter, extremely dirty fighter. Not extremely, but he was a pretty dirty fighter. But yet he got the consensus amount of respect after he announced his retirement for his career. But Andre Ward can't get that level of respect. So that to me is what I've been so upset about over the last week or so. So yeah, and it's funny though. Some people are still calling him a coward. Really, a coward who actually took on the boogeyman of the division, beat him twice. A coward who wasn't supposed to win the Super Six at 168 pounds. Okay, yeah, he's a coward who became a unified champion, who became a lineal champion, who defeated 3 pound for pound fighters, who's had 8 successful title defenses and 10 wins in title fights. Yeah, okay, he's a coward. Okay, thank you. He's a coward. All right, let me see. Yeah, Truth and Fact says the only fight that Rock Nation had success in was the Cotto and Canelo fight. Yeah, I think that they also promoted the Sergio Martinez. Well, actually, no, they did, but that wasn't really successful. Yeah, Cotto Canelo was the only fight they had success in. Obviously, because it's Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, he's going to generate revenue. So yeah, that is true. MBT says that actually that fight was unsuccessful too because they expected bigger numbers, but it did the highest numbers by far. You know what though? It is mixed messages. MBT, good point there. I think they did expect it maybe over 1.32 million views or something like that. Of course, that wasn't unsuccessful in that area, but I think they were able to break more than even that fight, given the fact that they were able to get over 900K, and they did very well at the gate too. They were able to get a lot of money for the advertising revenue, so I think they were able to break more than even on that. So yeah, so that it could be the same things. The same thing could be said for the Canelo and the Golovkin fight, where they did meet their pay-per-view expectations, but they did damn well at the gate, and they got a lot of money for the advertising revenue as well. So it was pretty successful on that end as well. Let me see. Yeah, let me see. RP Corey Sanders. Yeah, RP ambitions due to Corey Sanders from South Africa, man. You know, he lost his life in I think it was an attempted robbery. Somebody shot him over in South Africa. I think it was in Cape Town. That was 5 years ago. So, I mean, the way he knocked out Vladimir Klitschko, man, that was brutal. And Corey Sanders actually had a very, very dangerous left hand. People want to talk about Donna Stevenson's left hand. I mean, Corey Sanders had a dangerous left hand. I mean, he used to put guys to sleep with that left hand. I mean, man, he was. Yeah, he was. MBT. He was a good fighter, but the thing about Corey Sanders is that his defense was pretty poor. He was very elusive. He was able to slip punches, but he kept his hands low a lot. He did. He used to get tagged in some of his fights, particularly against Hassan Rockman, Vitaly Klitschko, and others. You know. So yeah. To quote Mr. Doc, Truth says Ward retired because he wanted to, not what the haters wanted him to. That's the truth. Absolutely. They wanted him to retire on their terms. Of course, he retired on his terms, and they can't live with that. So, I mean, it is what it is. And it's funny, though, because RT Russia Today, which is Vladimir Putin's news outlet over in Russia, they dubbed Andre Ward as a controversial figure to Sergey Kovalev. I laughed at that because, first of all, RT doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. What has Andre Ward done that's so controversial? I don't understand. How was he controversial figure? See, RT, I'm getting on the political landscape here. RT wants to go around saying that they're actually the most unbiased news outlet in the world, but yet they criticize. It makes they actually have drafted their stories on a conspiracy theory aspect where they have no fact behind it. Okay, and they were called out on this on several broadcasts, on several of their live broadcasts. Okay, they're trying to paint the Western world as very demonizing. In fact, to me, it's a bit unfair. Sometimes they report things one sided. They have their own biases as well. Like they criticize CNN and Fox News and MSNBC for doing. But I'm drifting off to that. But I didn't like the piece they wrote about Andre Ward. That was totally untrue what they said about him being a controversial foe. Totally untrue. All right, what else we got here? Brian Mitchell. Yeah, Brian Mitchell definitely. Yeah, the super featherweight. Yeah, out of South Africa Hall of Famer. Definitely a great fighter, man. Brian Mitchell forever. Yes, he doesn't get talked about a lot too because people didn't know who he was. I mean, at the time that Brian Mitchell fought, he fought at a time when South Africa was part of the apartheid. Of course, when you're apartheid state, a lot of economic sanctions will be slapped on you. So obviously, they couldn't. South Africa at the time couldn't enjoy the luxuries of having businesses, a lot of prime and elite businesses come over there and do business with him and so forth. And of course, due to the apartheid, they couldn't really get good boxing matches. Other than they had Ali. I think Ali fought there one time in South Africa. Did he fight there? I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I have to go back and check. Jerry Cote. I mean, Jerry Cote was a good fighter, but definitely he wasn't a great fighter, but he was a good fighter. Mr. Doc, definitely a good fighter. What else we got here? I mean, I'm probably gonna wrap this up, y'all. Let me see. Bring up some other news here. Oh yeah, the Luis Nery situation. I know people are wondering about that. The WBC is going to rule on that pretty soon as well too. So, in case you guys don't know, Luis Nery failed a drug test before his fight with Suzuki Yamanaka. Now, the thing is that the WBC allowed that fight to go ahead, which I don't understand why. But yeah, here's Mauricio Sulaiman coming out saying that they're going to rule on that situation in the next coming days. So I don't quite understand that. So I mean, some expecting that Yamanaka is going to get his title back. We don't know, but yeah, we'll see. Mr. Doc, John Tate, and Mike Weaver fought in South Africa. Yeah, they did. Leon Spinks, I think he did too, but we'll have to see. We'll have to check on that. But again, the years of the apartheid have really hinder South Africa from an economical perspective. So that's why they had that 1990 election to get away from the apartheid, so that way they can enjoy economic success. And now South Africa has a democracy, and they enjoyed it. They benefited from that for the last the last 2 decades. Yeah, he was a champion. He fought Michael Dokes. He KO'd him. You know, Jerry Cote was supposed to fight Larry Holmes, but for some reason the TV networks they didn't want to sign off to the fight, so they couldn't get a TV deal between Cote and Holmes. And I think that would have been a good fight. Of course, I would have favored Larry Holmes to win it, but it is what it is. 1224529 says I can't stop watching Holyfield Bowl 2, and I can't stop laughing. I'm watching it right now. You know what? I mean, Riddick Bowe. I mean, that was a pretty dirty fight. I mean, obviously they were both men was punching after the bell a lot too. That fight. I mean, Jesus. I mean, Bowe was obviously a dirty fighter. Of course, Evander Holyfield was just trying to fight back the dirtiness. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean that was one of the reasons too. I mean, Holmes refused to fight in South Africa because of the apartheid, and also due to the fact they couldn't really get a TV deal for it either. So that was one of the two factors. And he was going to get like a big payday for that fight too, which is I think he was going to get 4.5 million for that fight, and obviously that went down the drain. And the thing about Holmes too is that he was in the crosshairs because he vacated his WBC title because they were mandating him to fight Greg Page, and he wanted more money for that fight. And since he couldn't get what he wanted, he vacated the title. They picked up the IBF belt, whatnot, and then he was still the lineal champion. Obviously, he was still the recognized champion of that division. And of course, Jerry Cote was another fight that couldn't get done because of those two factors, of the apartheid and not getting a TV deal. So yeah, what else we got here? What else we got here? Marius Breedis and Alexander Usyk fight. That's fight they're talking about coming up right now in the World Boxing Series. Definitely favorite Usyk to win that fight. I mean, the only chance that Breedis has is that he's going to have to swarm and he's going to have to smother Usyk. He's going to really have to smother him, and he's going to have to rough it up in the inside to take him off his game. Because if he tried to fight him from the outside, that's dangerous. Usyk is really going to clobber him from the outside. Okay, and Breedis himself acknowledges that he's going to have a lot of work to do when he's going up against Usyk. So let's see what else we got going on here. Um, okay. Speaking of Donna Stevenson and Lee Alvarez, I forgot to mention they're actually going to push that fight over to 2018. Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! So, according to this report here, let me see. According to this report here, Adonis Stevenson and Lee Alvarez are still in negotiations, but that fight is going to get pushed back to January 2018. All right. So again, the reason why they can't get this fight done is because they can't even get the date and the video worked out for Showtime. Oh my freaking goodness! Ah, Jesus Christ! I mean, at least we know the fight still it works, but they can't get the date and the video booked for this fight. I mean, what the hell's going on here, man? I mean, Jesus Christ! If you can't get it done in Canada, why don't you just bring it over here to the States? I mean, Jesus. I mean, it's that simple. Why just Michel just bring it to the States since Stevenson was looking to fight in the States anyway, right? Just bring it over here. I mean, damn, how's this so complicated, man? If you can't get the videos booked in the Bell Center in Canada, which is in Montreal, you definitely can't get the Air Canada Center because Stevenson's not known in Toronto. So, I mean, just goddamn it. I mean, just do it in the bigger market in the States. I mean, yeah, he's not known in the States either, but I'm sure he'll do a little bit better over here. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, what is going on here, man? Let me see here. See, Michel explained that Showtime wants to televise the fight either December 9th or the 16th, but there are some serious issues involved because the targeted videos in Canada are really occupied of those dates, and some of those other videos are too small or not suitable in terms of technology to handle to handle the Showtime televised events. So Yvonne Michel said here, quote, my recommendation will be to present the event at the end of January, which is the 20th or the 27th. Both fighters are ready and waiting line are ready to wait for the time for it to take place. Now, Michelle also threw in some water on the rumors of Stevenson trying to step aside, sidestepping Alvarez to face Badou Jack. Jack vacated his regular WBA title because he was ordered to to take the mandatory defense against Dimitri Bivol. Yeah. Now, according to Jack, he dropped the title in order to focus on a much bigger opportunity. And he felt that opportunity was a fight against Adonis Stevenson. So Michelle, on the other hand, said there is no truth to that claim of a Stevenson Jack fight being negotiated. He says the only way that WBC fight can be the only way that the WBC can would even approve such a fight is that Jack held a world title, then a unification would trump over a mandatory defense, which is true. Since Jack has no title, I mean, where's he gonna go? Because obviously you can't. I mean, Alvarez is a little is in line of a title shot before Badou Jack. Now that Badou Jack has no title, so to me, I have to maintain my stance. Badou Jack vacated his title for no reason whatsoever, but yet you ducked your mandatory out of that situation. So it is what it is, man. All right, let's see what's going on here. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna wrap this up. Now let's see. Uh-oh, what happened to the article here? Okay, here it is. So, a fight against Jack can only happen if there was a unification bout. In boxing, things can change quickly, but the mandate I have is to organize a fight between Stevenson and Alvarez. There was never any question of Alvarez leaving his position as mandatory for Stevenson. So there you have it. So basically, Stevenson is going to fight Ali Alvarez, but the question is that when they going to get the video done, man? Ah, man. It is what it is. But anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to go ahead and thank you guys in the comment section. Give a shout out to Mr. Doc, BT, of course, Truth and Facts, which is Bo, Ambitious D, 122459. I appreciate you. 4529, I appreciate you in the comment section, sister. No question about it. Who else we got in here? Ross Clot, Charlie Brown Boxing. Shout out to you guys. I know Ross Clot not glad sometimes, but nothing but respect. 68, shout out to you as well. And who else? I'm leaving out. Just want to make sure I get everybody recognized in here. Yeah, that's it. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up, y'all. Take care. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.